Hey guys, so today I'm going to discuss, should a sports car come with a manual transmission? Here on Humble Fish Motoring, I'm Ben. Let's go. Hey guys, so we're ready to talk about manual transmissions and should a sports car have a manual transmission offered to it? And the short answer is yes. And I'll tell you why. This is just my opinion, of course. Manual transmissions provide that engagement that an automatic cannot give you. No matter how hard it tries, no matter if you have DCT or CVT or blah blah blah, no, you don't have that kind of engagement. The automatic transmission's purpose is to disengage you from the driving. Well, I'm not talking about the rest of the car here, but I'm just talking about just the transmission. It is to disengage you from the driving experience. It is to remove you from the shifting because it can do a better job. Nowadays ones, not the slush boxes of old. Nowadays automatic transmissions, and it can give you better fuel economy and better lap time, so why bother doing it yourself? So its purpose is to disengage you. A manual transmission's purpose is to engage you, and when you engage in something, you're more actively involved, so you have more fun, but you also got to put in the work. Nothing's for free. You got to put in the work. But when you put in the work, you learn an manual, you get so much enjoyment out of it. When you heel toe, rev match, downshift, you go around the curve, the bend at a track, it just gives you that, it just gives you that enjoyment. I mean, I'm on the highway. If I drop from 6th to 5th, just doing that, just hearing that box of rumble. I mean, I'm in my STI, so any car, you hear that, boom, downshift, and you press the clutch, and boom, the revs drop, and then you re-engage. Man, doing this, pop, it's not going to give you any, this is my personal opinion, it doesn't give me, I've tried that. I tried that in a Porsche Boxster, and, it was like, of course it was one of those, it was like an 08 Tiptronic, and I understand now automatic transmissions are better, but even then it was just like, I'm like, that was, I mean, the car sounded great, it handled great, but, I mean, it was just like, there was no fun there. It was ridiculous. And it's just like, why? I get the gist of it. Today, nowadays, everybody wants a car to do everything. Means it's got to be a great daily driver. It's got to give you great fuel economy. It's got to give you a great long distance cruise. For road trips. I mean, you want your cake and eat it too, and that's not possible. I mean, you're going to give up something, and that something is engagement. And that engagement, to me, I mean, other people might say, it's fine, it's fun doing this, but that engagement to me is not there in automatic. I mean, I own a Honda Pilot, and in the Honda Pilot, it's an automatic, and you just put it in drive and you grow. I mean, it's a cruiser. It's a long distance, carver. It's not a canyon carver. It's a long distance carver. It's supposed to get you there comfortably. You're not without shifting or having a rough ride. Again, I know we're not talking about suspension, but I mean, just in general, it's just an easy car to drive, easier than this. That's because that's its purpose. The purpose of this car is to give you be engaged and give you good performance. That said, I mean, to me, it's like an automatic transmission. It's like, remember playing Gran Turismo on a PlayStation? You had like, your L1, R1, or L2, R2, whatever to shift. So you're like, like, that's what it's like in real life. Only the L1, R1 buttons are your paddles. And that's it. I'm like, how is that enjoyable? Like, it's not. I mean, I know, like in my previous video, I said, about the Supra, how journalists are like, oh man, it's great, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, okay, yeah, it's fast, I mean, a Tesla, what is it, with the ludicrous mode, can, rocket you up, and, after a while, I'm sure that gets old. Like, like there's no enjoyment. Yeah, you go fast and it's fun, but, I mean, after like, I don't know, a year, 2 years, I mean, like, does it still put a smile on your face? I've driven manuals most of my life, right? I think I've only owned, like, besides the Honda Pilot, owned maybe like 1 or 2 other automatics, and they were just like, they weren't performance cars. All the performance cars I owned were manuals. And they always put a smile on your face. They weren't even as, some of them were not even as fast as the automatics I own, but every time they put a smile on my face. I mean, I could drive a, if I was asked the opinion of driving, I haven't driven the new Supra yet, but I mean, it's an automatic, so the science doesn't change. 2 pedals, PRND, and it's a traditional torque converter automatic. Yes, I have the ZF as a Great Boss automatic gearbox, but I mean, it's not a 3-pedal, you know, H pattern, you know, manual setup. It's not. So I haven't driven it yet, and you know, one day I'd like to, but I'm pretty sure I'd have the same opinion at the end of it, because you know, you put it in drive and then you go to slap it over to manual mode, and then you just, you know, do the PlayStation L1 R1 on the real paddles, right, quote unquote. So I mean, that's not going to change my opinion. It might just give me a couple of thrills, but I just can't see myself owning that car for long. I can see myself owning something like this for long, which that's why I bought this, or something else. You know, I'll talk about the next set of cars I want to buy in another video. But you know, the performance car, it should at least be offered with a manual. At least. I understand automakers are discontinuing it for sales reasons, and I get that. I mean, you know, you it costs millions of dollars into R&D to test and to develop and test a manual transmission version of the automatic that you have, when only like 2 people will buy it. I mean, if I ran a business, I would feel the same way. So I'm not hating or knocking on any of the auto manufacturers, and I have total respect for the auto manufacturers that still offer manuals, even with the lack of a manual take rate, like, you know, like the Subaru and the WRX STI, you know, BMW and the M2, and I believe the M3 still has it, and M4. You know, there's a few automakers that still offer in their, I believe Porsche still does. I think Porsche has it in the, I think in the lower end 911s have the manual. So I mean, total respect to those guys, those automakers, for doing that. In a world where manual transmissions are not accepted. My concern is with the people that are capable of driving a manual, but choose not to, because, you know, they're just lazy, or they don't have the time, you know, they just don't want to put it. I mean, if you don't invest in something, it's totally on you, right? Like, you got to invest. Nothing is free. You got to put in the time. I mean, yeah, so I learned manual transmission back in an old Celica GT with a 5-speed manual, and I don't know, I don't know if I burned out the clutch or the previous owner did, but probably, I think it was probably me, because I was learning. But I mean, I learned on it, and I paid the cost of that clutch. I mean, I was in college my first year, and it wasn't cheap, you know, you know, to replace the clutch, but I did it, man, and it was, you know, I haven't looked back since that first Celica GT. I haven't looked back for using a manual transmission in a performance car. Now, by no means was that Celica GT a performance car, even though it was a quote-unquote sporty car. It was a very slow car, but it did give me the fundamentals of learning, you know, the manual transmission. Because it doesn't matter if you're driving a Lamborghini Gallardo with a manual or a Celica GT with a manual, you still have 3 pedals and an H pattern shifter, and you still need to know the clutch take points. You still need to know the sweet spot in releasing the clutch, rev mass, downshift. Those things don't change from anything from like a Corolla to, you know, anything high end like a Porsche 911. It's still the same. So granted, some manuals are easier to drive than the others. That's another topic, but the mechanics are still the same, and that's my concern, guys. So my plea to you guys is, you know, if any of you are thinking of buying any sports car that's offered in a manual, please buy it, because automakers, they're looking at numbers, right? For them, and that makes sense, because, you know, they've got to pay employees, and those employees got families to feed, and if you're not buying their manual car, they're losing a lot of money on that. So I mean, it's totally understandable why they're discontinuing it, right? So you guys got to get out there. You guys got to buy a manual transmission car, a performance car. Like, and yeah, sure, if you buy a non-performance car, that's even great. That's awesome, man. If you want to buy I think the Honda Accord discontinued it now, but I don't know which cars still offer a manual in their sedans that are non-performance oriented. Maybe the Mazda 6 base, I don't know, but I mean, if you are one of those guys or girls that buy a manual in a non-performance car, mad respect, man. That's so cool. That's awesome. You guys should do that. But I'm talking about a performance car. You should have, please guys, if you're gonna buy a performance car and that performance car offers a manual, please buy it. What's a good example of this? I think the Golf R, I don't know if the new one has a manual, but the older one did as an option. And then you could choose between it. Oh, okay, here, look at the Toyota 86 or Subaru BRZ. That one has both the automatic and the manual. Get the manual, guys. I mean, it's more fun. When I owned a Mazda RX-8, many years ago, and there was the automatic version, which actually lost power. It was horrible. I think it had I've read that people had issues with some of those, but I got the manual. Like, you just won't go wrong, So yeah, so that's my plea to you guys: get a manual. If you're buying a performance car, if you can drive it, if you're obviously if you can't drive for some reason, if you can't drive a manual, then yes, get the automatic and support buying a sports car. That's wonderful. But if you are able to drive a manual and are able to learn it, please drive a manual. It'll change your life as you drive. It'll make you a better driver. It'll make you a more conscious driver. It'll make you aware of the road. Your hands will be on the wheel and on the shifter and going back. It'll make you less it make you want to do things less, like eat, so I mean, I when I drive with my kids and I see people driving on the road and they're doing their makeup, they're on the phone, which they shouldn't be, and either things they're eating, and they're swerving, it scares me. That kind of driver really scares me, because I mean, they're endangering myself, my family, my wife, my kids. They're endangering other people on the road, and they're endangering themselves. It just the automatic transmission, it's been like one thing that's been removed from automotive driving, not just on an enjoyment level. I feel it's like a safety level, because now let's keep the engagement and the enjoyment aside, guys. Let's talk about the actual involvement in the car and a safety perspective. In keeping the enjoyment aside, now you're also removed from being engaged in the car in a safety manner, meaning like your hands are free. You're not shifting anymore, so you can eat, you can do things, you can talk, you can put makeup on, whatever you want to do, right? And then the other thing is, as all these nannies come, like self-driving, hands free, and they're just letting the car do it. These are guys, these are machines, man. They're run by software. Being a software engineer, I mean, I love technology. That's why I got into this as a trade. But when I think about cars, man, I like my cars to be analog as possible, because I like to be in control of my car. I don't want the car to be in control of me, and meaning like I'm just sitting in there and letting the car do whatever. Well, not whatever, but like hopefully doing what I tell it to. So guys, I mean, here's my last comment on this. If you're I mean, my plea to you guys on a car, on buying a sports car, sorry. If you guys are gonna go out and buy a car today, and you have the option of a manual and automatic, just like the BRZ 86 example, I would really, if you guys have the time, if you guys can learn it, please learn it and drive. Buy the manual. Don't send it into extinction. Please buy the manual. You'll become a better driver. You'll become a more conscious driver. You'll enjoy the car more. You'll feel the cliche quote of you're one with the car. You actually will feel one with the car. You'll have more fun, and you won't go back. Again, this is my opinion. Everyone's different, but that's what I feel, right? So if you're going to go out and buy a performance car today, and you have the option of buying the manual, and you look at it, don't look at it like a deterrent. Don't look at it like, oh man, it's another thing I have to learn. I just get don't be like, oh, I just want to get the automatic. Just spend some time, learn the manual, get the manual. you'll really enjoy the car, and you may keep the car for longer because you'll find that gives you that smile more, and because the more and more you're engaged with something, the more and more you want to keep it. You know, there's a lot of, I mean, I haven't looked into the stats or anything, but there could be a lot of turnover in the market for automatic cars. You know, after a while, it all becomes the same. You know, you got 2 pedals, you got PRND, and you got some flappy paddles, and you know, which you never use. I mean, if I had that flappy paddle like set up, first of all, when I buy an automatic, it's probably for a family car or something. I don't care for the flappy paddles. I mean, like, I just step harder on the gas, so the car do it at that point. I mean, this is a joke to me. The flappy paddle is just, it's almost like it's almost insulting to a manual driver. It's like a trick to like let you think that you're going to control it. I mean, when you click that switch, it's a signal telling the computer, hey, engage next gear, and the computer will get back to you, right? Some of them are instant, like the DCTs, but you know, pre-selected gear and stuff. That's also different, but you're still telling it and it's doing it. It's a difference when you're actually pushing a pedal. It's more mechanical, and then you're selecting the gear yourself. The gear is not going to be selected for you or pre-selected for you. You're doing it yourself. So I look at it like almost like a joke. Like, I mean, why put these? If it's an automatic, it is an automatic. I don't care if it's a DCT or CVT or whatever. Well, CVT's, well, that's another video. I understand it's good fuel economy, but man, is that like a bore to drive. It's boring. Anyway, so yeah, so drive a manual, guys. If you can, purchase one, you know, and have the time to learn it, I say learn it. So that's my plea. All right, you guys, stay blessed. Have a great day. Thanks for hearing me out. Bye. See you on the next one.